Have you ever stared at a problem until your eyes burned, exhausted, and overwhelmed, yet the thought of picking up the phone to ask for assistance felt physically impossible? To the outside world, this looks like stubbornness. They call it pride. They say, no man is an island, and look at your isolation with pity or frustration. They tell you to just let go. But they don't understand the architecture of your mind. Society often views the refusal to ask for help as a defect, a sign of emotional immaturity or an inflated ego. But if we look deeper into the unspoken corners of human psychology, we find a different story. For a select group of people, this isn't about arrogance. It is a complex defense mechanism, a sign of high functionality, and a testament to a specific kind of resilience. What if your refusal to lean on others isn't a weakness, but a sophisticated survival strategy that has kept you standing when everyone else fell? Today, we are decoding the psychology of the hyper-independent. If you would rather carry the world on your shoulders than owe anyone a favor, this video is about you. It starts early. You likely learned that needs were burdens. Psychology refers to this as parentification. This occurs when a child is forced to take on adult responsibilities, emotionally or physically, because the caregivers were unavailable or unreliable. You didn't just learn to tie your shoes, you learned that if you didn't do it, nobody would. This isn't just a habit, it's a neural pathway that equates safety with self-reliance. You aren't stubborn, you are a survivor of your own history. The lesson, you didn't choose solitude. You adapted to necessity. You view relationships as transactions, and you hate being in the red. In social psychology, this is linked to reciprocity anxiety. It's the deep-seated fear that accepting help creates an invisible debt that the other person can call in at any time. You cherish your freedom above all else. By doing everything yourself, you ensure that you are beholden to no one. You are the sovereign of your own life, and you refuse to let favors become chains. The lesson: total autonomy is the only currency you trust. You don't ask for help because, frankly, you don't trust the quality of the assistance. This is often a manifestation of self-efficacy, but pushed to its absolute limit. You have a track record of getting things done correctly, and handing a task over feels like gambling. It's not that you think you are better than everyone. It's that you care more about the outcome than they do. You are an architect of excellence, and you refuse to let mediocrity touch your work. The lesson: if you want it done right, you do it yourself. Asking for help requires exposing a gap in your armor, a lack of knowledge, strength, or resources. Psychologists call the fear of this exposure emotional armoring. For you, admitting you can't do something feels like handing someone a weapon they could use against you later. You maintain a calm, collected exterior because you believe that showing a crack in the facade invites chaos. Your silence is your shield. The lesson: you protect your core by keeping the gates closed. Ironically, people who hate asking for help are often the most helpful people to others. This stems from hyperempathy. You are acutely aware of how stressed and busy everyone else is. Because you feel the weight of the world so heavily, you assume everyone else does too. You refuse to add even a gram of weight to someone else's load. You suffer in silence not because you are selfish, but because you are overly considerate. The lesson: you carry the load so others don't have to. While codependents need others to feel okay, you sit on the opposite end of the spectrum, counterdependency. This is the refusal of attachment. You may have been let down significantly in the past, perhaps by a mentor, a parent, or a partner. That betrayal created a vow of silence. You learned that people are variable variables, but you are a constant. Relying on yourself creates a controlled environment where disappointment is mathematically impossible. The lesson: trust is a risk you simply stopped taking. For you, explaining how to do a task takes longer than just doing it. This is related to the cognitive load theory. Transferring your mental model to another person requires energy, communication, and patience. Your brain works fast, faster than most. Slowing down to bring someone up to speed feels like a malfunction. You aren't antisocial, you are pro-efficiency. You value time as your most finite resource. The lesson: collaboration is often just a fancy word for delay. Asking for help introduces an external variable you cannot control. This triggers stress related to your locus of control. You operate with an internal locus. You believe you are the master of your fate. When you delegate, you shift to an external locus, leaving the result to chance/others. This loss of agency causes you physical anxiety. You find peace in the driver's seat, even if the road is exhausting. The lesson: you would rather crash the car yourself than let someone else drive. You likely suffer from adaptive perfectionism. This isn't just about being neat, it's about being unimpeachable. If you do it all yourself, and you do it perfectly, no one can criticize you. Asking for help is an admission that you are not a limitless machine. You maintain an image of seamless competence because you fear that without it, your value drops. You are addicted to the impossible standard. The lesson: you confuse being human with being flawed. You often wait until the absolute breaking point to signal distress. In medical psychology, this is known as treatment delay. You have a remarkably high pain threshold, both emotional and physical. You tell yourself, I can handle this a little longer. You view endurance as a virtue, while others cry out at the first sign of discomfort. You absorb the shockwaves until the structure begins to buckle. The lesson: your endurance is legendary, but it is also dangerous. You believe that asking for help draws unnecessary attention to your struggles. This is the spotlight effect in reverse. You want to remain invisible in your maintenance of life. You prefer the shadows where you can work your magic unseen. Asking for assistance requires stepping onto the stage and saying, "Look at me, I am struggling." To a private person, this feels like a violation of the self. The lesson: you move in silence, and you suffer in silence. Your ability to handle things alone has become who you are. This is identity fusion. If you started asking for help, you wouldn't just be changing a habit, you would be killing a part of your personality. You are the strong one, the reliable one, the fixer. People come to you, you don't go to them. Changing the dynamic feels like an identity crisis. You are trapped in the role you wrote for yourself. The lesson: the mask has become the face. Deep down, there is a subtle, darker fear. What if you ask, and they say no? This touches on rejection sensitivity dysphoria. To ask for help is to extend a hand. To have that hand slapped away or ignored is a humiliation you are unwilling to risk. By never asking, you never face the possibility of rejection. It is a protective preemptive strike against indifference. The lesson: you reject the world before it can reject you. You derive a specific dopamine hit from solving the puzzle alone. This is intrinsic motivation. The victory tastes sweeter when you know you climbed the mountain without a Sherpa. There is a purity in the achievement. You respect the struggle because the struggle proves your worth. To share the work is to dilute the glory of the accomplishment. The lesson: the solo victory is the only one that counts. Finally, we must acknowledge a trait often found in high-functioning introverts: autonomy orientation. You simply prefer your own company and your own methods. You are not lonely, you are alone. There is a difference. Asking for help invites social interaction, small talk, and energy exchange that drains you. You stay in your lane because it is peaceful there. You have built a universe inside yourself that needs no external input. The lesson: you are a complete ecosystem. If you recognized yourself in these 15 points, understand this: your independence is impressive. It is a fortress you build brick by brick to survive a world that often feels unreliable. You are the person who gets things done when everyone else is making excuses. But even the strongest fortresses need gates. The psychology of people who hate asking for help reveals a person of immense capability, but also deep hidden exhaustion. You do not need to tear down your walls, but perhaps, every once in a while, you can lower the drawbridge. Not because you are weak, but because you have carried the weight long enough to prove your strength. You are not broken for needing solitude, and you are not weak for needing assistance. You are simply human, operating at a level of difficulty most will never understand. We analyze the minds that operate in the shadows. If you want to continue decoding the complex architecture of your personality, subscribe and turn on notifications. Keep observing, keep analyzing, and remember, even the lone wolf eventually rests.